Welcome to AYC TV. I'm your host, Jeff Manning. This is a very weird format for me. I've taught yoga in live classes for over 20 years, and this is the first time that I've really taught online. So it's a little bit odd. We'll just give it a shot, and I guess we'll just get better and better as we go. Okay? So here we go. A very simple seated posture. Just make sure it's comfortable for you. You can sit into a chair or you can sit on the floor, whatever. I like to use blankets to sit on to kind of lift my hips up just a little bit to make it a little more comfortable. So what I'm going to do is place my hands onto my knees, and I'm going to lift my spine up out of the pelvis, relax my shoulders back and down, soften up my neck. I'm going to close my eyes. And what we can do is just sit together for 1 minute. Palms together in front of your chest. Draw the thumbs to your heart. And we'll sing Om 3 times together. Inhale in. Bow your head, thank your heart, release the hands down, lift the head, and open your eyes. Very nice, very nice. All right, here we go. We're going to interlace the fingers all the way down to the webbing, invert the hands. We'll take the arms up over the head, squeeze the arm bones together, wrap the shoulder blades forward towards the front of the body, and lift and lengthen the sides up. Inhale. Exhale, we'll bring the arms down. Reverse the interlay. So if your right index finger is on top, you're going to shift so the left index finger is on top. It should feel a little bit weird. And then you invert the hands, take that up over the head, squeeze your arm bones together, shoulder blades wrap forward towards the front of the body, and then lift and lengthen the sides up. Now while you're up here, you can take a couple of breaths. I always like to think of in my practice of that asana having the outside stretch, but then the breath having the inside stretch. Inhale. Exhale, and bring that down. Make a fist with your right hand, catch the wrist with the left hand, and we're going to tilt the rib cage over towards the left side. Now as we're practicing, I'm going to be mirroring what my instructions are. So right hand, left, left hand, right. So if you were to look into a mirror, we should look the same. Inhale. Exhale, and we'll come back up and switch the hands, and we'll tilt over towards the right side. As we tilt to the right side, the left side rib cage, let that open up. And again, you can use the breath, breathe into that stretch, and allow the rib cage to open up from the inside. Inhale. Exhale, and we're back up. Good. Take the arms out to the sides. Right elbow goes over the left elbow. If it works for your arms to intertwine, you can intertwine them. If not, you can just catch here, and I'm going to bring the arms across to the left side. If you can intertwine, bring it across to the left side. Shoulder blades down, elbows up. Inhale. Exhale, center the arms and release that out. Then we'll switch our sides. Left over right, intertwine. If that works, lift the elbows up, take the shoulder blades down the back, and then take the arms across to the right side. Now what I'm feeling here is this guy right here, the posterior deltoid is getting a little bit of a stretch. And if I allow this left shoulder blade to wrap around towards the front of the body, I get a little bit more space between the spine and the shoulder blade. Inhale. Exhale, center the arms, and we'll release out and take that down. Okay? And take my belt. You can use a belt or a towel or a bathrobe belt or something you have around the house, something simple. I'm gonna hold that with my right hand, take that over the right shoulder, and the right arm goes up towards the ceiling. Turn the palm to the back. And then from here, I'm gonna take this outer shoulder blade and turn it towards the front of the body. So these muscles right here, the serratus anterior muscles, turn on. I feel that shoulder blade lock in place. Then I'm gonna bend the elbow. And from here, I'm gonna take my left arm forward, drop the thumb, I'm gonna wrap that around and reach and catch. Once I have this in the back, and I have from both sides, top and bottom in the belt, go fast so you can see, holding here. Then I'm gonna take that right shoulder blade and turn it forward towards the front of the body and lengthen the elbow towards the ceiling. The left shoulder is gonna move back in space, and then I'm gonna take that left shoulder blade and draw it in towards the spine so it strengthens the rhomboid muscles on that left side. Once I have that, then the upper back, the thoracic spine, is gonna move into the body and the heart, sternum lifts up. One thing to watch for is when we're working with these arm movements, that the head isn't involved in cranking around. Inhale. Exhale. Go ahead and release the arms out and down. All right, then I'm gonna switch. Take the belt in the left hand. Left arm goes up towards the ceiling. Turn the palm to the back and bend the elbow. Right arm forward. You drop the thumb, wrap that around to clear the anterior deltoid, the anterior deltoid on that right side. And then I'm gonna start to work the pose. Left shoulder blade pulls forward towards the front of the body, elbow towards the ceiling. Right shoulder moves back in space and the shoulder blade draws in towards the spine. Thoracic spine moves in, heart lifts. Relax the neck. Inhale. Exhale. And gently release the arms out and we'll take that down. Okay. I'm going to place the left hand down onto the floor, lean to the left side, and the right arm comes up and over. From there, I'm going to push with this left hand to open up the waist, rib cage, and armpit on the right side. I'm going to take a couple of breaths here. That breath open from the inside out. And then I'm going to take the arm down. I'm going to anchor down the right thigh with the right hand. Turn the rib cage to the left. I'm going to gently lift the chest up towards that left side. Inhale. Exhale, nice and easy, we'll come back up. And then we're gonna switch sides. Right hand down, left arm up, lean to the right, push to the left, and open up that left side. Waist, rib cage, armpit. Press the breath into that left side. Inhale. Exhale, and the arm comes down. Anchor the thigh, turn, and lift the chest towards that right side. Inhale. Exhale, and you're gently going to come up and out. Very nice. From here, you're going to keep the spine lifting up, turn to the right side. The right hand comes behind next to the hip, left hand comes across to the knee, and then gently turn with the arms. Use more of your spine to turn than arm work. Inhale. Exhale, turn the tummy, rib shoulders towards the right side. And then a little check on that is you can lift the hands up. And if the body springs back, then it was arms, but if you can hold that, then it's spine. Inhale. Exhale, and out of the twist. Then I'm going to switch, left hand behind, right hand across, spine lifts up. Inhale. Exhale, turn the tummy, rib shoulders to the left side. Shoulder blades move down the back, and the heart lifts up the front. Inhale. Exhale, and we're out of the twist. Switch the cross of the feet. When you switch the cross of the feet, it should feel odd. It's kind of a shift to the pelvis, a shift to the legs, and then we're going to take the twist to that first side. So the right hand behind, left hand across, spine lifts up, inhale. Exhale, turn the tummy, rib shoulders to the right side. Shoulders down, sternum up. Inhale. Exhale, and we're out of the twist. And then we'll switch, left hand behind, right hand across, lift the spine, inhale. Exhale, and turn tummy, rib shoulders, left side. Shoulder blades move down, and the sternum goes up. Inhale. Exhale, and wrap the twist. Very nice, right? And we're gonna shift down. You can move off of the blankets. If your hamstrings are tight, then you can stay up onto blankets or whatever you're working on. Even a chair, this works. I'm gonna move down off of the blankets just so they're out of my way. Okay. And we're gonna start with Dandasana, staff pose. So, just sitting onto the sitting bones, I'm going to take the hands back behind for support. So you're going to start down here at the feet. I'm going to spread the toes out as wide as I can so I start to activate those muscles through the feet. And I'm going to press the heels forward towards or away from me so the Achilles tendons start to go down towards the floor. I'm going to take my kneecaps and I'm going to pull them up towards my hips nice and strong so my quadriceps become engaged. What I want to watch out for is I don't pull so hard that the heels lift off of the floor. This is not really great for the front part of the meniscus on a regular basis. There's special reasons why you can use that, but for just warming up, you want to keep that heel down, keep the calf down, keep the hamstring down, keep the sitting bone down, and work that leg as strong as you can. So you're going to keep both legs nice and tight and strong, toes opened up, and then at the top thighs here, you're going to internally rotate the thighs. So the inner edges of the thighs press down towards the floor and create stability. From there, the hands come back behind. And as I push those inner thighs down towards the floor, the front part of my spine starts to lift up. Now I have that lifted spine, and I can take the shoulder blades and gently pull them back, widen the collarbones, and pull the chin in like a drawer and allow my head and neck to relax. Dandasana. Okay, and then we'll bring the feet in, Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So, allow my inner groin to begin to release out. And we don't worry about how far down the knees go. That's not something that we really want to think about. It's more about taking the shape and allowing your body to interact with the shape. That's all. Don't push the shape, just enjoy, right? So, my heels press into each other lightly. The inner knees are starting to move out to the outer walls. I'm going to use my glute max muscles in the back. Just a little bit, maybe 20%, that's all. Just a little bit of a squeeze so those inner knees start to travel towards the outer walls. When I have this little action going, moving from the back to the front, I'm gonna guide with my hands in the back, my lower back into the body, and the sternum starts to lift up. From there, I'm gonna take the shoulder blades, bring them back together, wide collarbones, and chin in like a drawer. And then we'll take the feet apart. Upavishta Konasana, seated angle pose. So I'm going to look down at each leg, and I want to find that split between the second and third toe. And that split, I'm going to put that line directly up and down, perpendicular to the floor. I want to look at both feet and make sure they're set. From there, I'm going to lengthen the heels away from me, so the Achilles tendons again go down towards the floor and seal as much of that back of the leg down. The heel, Achilles tendon, calf, hamstring, sitting bone, everything's pressing down to the floor. Hands come back behind for support. And then I'm going to guide my lower back in, heart lifts up, shoulders back, wide collarbones. Upavishta Konasana. Okay, and then we'll bring that back in. Bring the feet in, back to Dandasana. So one more time, spread the toes out as wide as you can. Press the heels away from you. Hammer the whole back of the leg down into the floor, nice and strong. Internally rotate the thighs. Press that down so the front part of the spine starts to lift up. Generate that action down so the spine rebounds up. And then we'll take the arms up over the head. Wrap the shoulder blades forward towards the front of the body. And then we're going to take the shoulders and gently pull them up towards the ears, but relax the neck. Now while you're here, see if you can turn those shoulder blades forward towards the front of the body. So you're feeling that serratus anterior set of muscles right here, activate, right? And you're gonna use that later on when we start working with downward dog. You're gonna feel those serratus anterior muscles strong and active so the roots of the shoulders are held safe. Inhale. Exhale, and the arms come down. Very nice. Bring the feet in, Baddha Konasana. Now, we're going to do this and we're going to let the arms go and do a little bit of arm work. If you find that your spine starts to drop backwards a little bit, find some support. blankets, bolsters, pillows, anything, chair, and you need to change values around, and it just gives you a little bit more mechanical advantage. Easier for the spine, so you can start to interact with the pose and work with the shoulders without too much strain. If you don't need it, then that's okay too. So we'll go through. Heels press into each other. Inner groin starts to release. I'm going to use those glute max muscles in the back, about 20%. Give them a little bit of squeeze. Guide the lower back in. Keep the heart lifting up. I'm propped right up on top of that pelvis. And then from here, I'm going to take the thumb and index together. Extend the arms forward. I'm going to wrap my shoulder blades forward towards the front of the body. And I'm going to grip them back together and then bend the elbows. And then from the shoulder joint, I'm going to rotate index and middle finger. Extend the arms. Wrap the scapula forward. It's called protraction. And then you're going to grip them back together, retraction. Bend the elbows, flexion. And then we're going to rotate. So now you're on the middle and the ring finger. Extend the arms. Protract the shoulder blades. Retract the shoulder blades. Flex the elbows. Last one. Rotate. So you're on ring and little finger. Extend the arms. Protract the scapula. Retract the scapula. Flex the arms. And then we're out. Very nice. Take the feet out to the sides. Upavishta Konasana. Seated angle. Spread the toes out as wide as you can. Press the heels away from you. Make sure those feet are going directly up and down towards the ceiling. Solid legs. Press them down. Guide the lower back into the body. Keep the spine lifted. From here, take the arms up out to the sides. And when you take your shoulder blades, pull them down the back this time so it seats those shoulders and the arms onto the rib cage. It's like a carriage. And then from there, lift the carriage upward. Relax the head and neck. In. Exhale. And we're in and down. Very nice. Okay, next thing we're going to do is downward facing dog. Okay, so I'm going to start on hands and knees. I'm going to take my hands one palm length forward, so it gives me a little bit of distance between the feet. Now this is a very basic understanding of how to measure out downward dog. The more refined way of measuring it out is by feel. It takes time. You come up into the pose, you move forward, you move backward, and there's a sweet spot to the pose. But just getting up into the pose and getting a basic feel for it, go hands and knees, hands one palm length forward, and that gets you just about there. All right, now, I'm going to keep my fingers spread as wide as I can. The index fingers are parallel to each other. I'm going to extend the arms. Don't hyperextend the arms, but extend them so they're nice and strong. And then again, those outer shoulder blades right here, I'm going to turn them forward towards the front of the body. So I feel those muscles right there, the serratus anterior muscles, lock the root of the shoulder down onto the rib cage. Once I have that, I know my shoulders are nice and safe. Toes roll under. I'm going to inhale, exhale. I'm going to lift the hips up and then start to press the thigh bones back. Now I'm looking to extend the legs if they'll go. The heels can lift up if we have tight hamstrings. If the legs really won't go all the way in extension, that's fine. You can keep the knees bent, but then we'll start to working and lifting the sitting bones up. If you can't extend the legs, if you can extend them all the way, front to back. If you have more room, then you can allow the heels to descend down towards the floor. Now, with this first downward dog, we're just kind of feeling it out, and we're going to warm it up a little bit. So from here, I'm going to do what's called walking the dog, where I take right heel down, left heel down. You're just going to oscillate back and forth, warming the calves up, the hamstrings, and just checking out how my hands and wrists, elbows, shoulders are feeling, the neck, head, jaw, lips, tongue, of course. How does the abdomen feel? How do the legs feel? So you want to audit and check out how you're feeling in the pose. And then from there, I'm going to inhale, lengthen my spine. Exhale, I'm going to come down into child's pose. Very simple. Knees apart, feet together, and just come in for a landing. Relax for a little bit. Okay, and then we'll take the hands under the shoulders, we'll press up. All right, now the second downward dog, we're gonna play around just a little bit, something to kind of coordinate, and you can kind of just follow along with this. This is kind of a fun thing to do, all right? So we're gonna come up into downward facing dog. Make sure those shoulders are turned towards the front of the body, shoulder blades to the front, so serratus anterior is nice and solid. I'm gonna come up into dog pose. Now from here, I'm just gonna move one limb at a time. I'm gonna take my right arm, I'm gonna move it out to the side. Then I'm gonna take my left leg and move that out to the side. Then I'm gonna take my left arm and move it to the inside, and my right leg is gonna move in. So I'm gonna repeat. Right arm out, left leg out. Left arm in, right leg in. Right arm out, left leg out. Left arm in, right leg in. Okay? So that's going one at a time. If you want to go two at a time, then you can take the left arm out, right leg out, and then you can take the left leg in and the right arm in. Then the left leg out, right arm out. No, I'm totally out. Right arm out, left arm out, right leg out. And then you're going to take the right arm in, left leg in. Okay, and then just repeat. What? I got messy. But it's always fun to play around with your practice. So that's one thing I do like to encourage is having fun with your practice. You know, if your practice is just drudge and you're just doing it to get some distance within the body, it will get old and then this practice goes away. But if you can bring some fun to the practice and do silly things, I think it keeps us young, it keeps your brain active and creative. There's some really great anatomists out there that talk about creative movement and how that's kind of the future. We'll talk about that later, but it's something to think about. All right, so we have one more downward dog that we're gonna do. This I like to use to warm my spine up. I'm gonna show you several different versions of it. Usually we do 8 to 10 of these, but you can do a combination of these. Just make sure that you're feeling good with this rather than it's kind of grinding my back up, okay? All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna take my downward facing dog. I keep my toes rolled under for this, just makes it a little bit quicker. Keep the legs nice and strong, and then nice and simple. I'm gonna take the hips forward, shoulders back, look up, and then the hips go back up to downward dog. So upward dog, downward dog. Upward dog, downward dog, right? If that's too much, then we can do puppy. So we're down here, the knees are down, hips go back, and then the hips come forward. And we can take it with just a little bit less action to the spine, we have more control, right? If that's still too much, then we can use cat and cow. So I'm here in table, and I'm just gonna take the pelvis, I'm gonna roll under, take the spine up towards the ceiling, try to individual those vertebrae. And then I'm gonna reverse that, taking the pelvis, rolling it out, and the spine goes down and look up. So the spine can go into flexion and extension, okay? And then of course there's also, coming down to Bhujangasana or cobra pose, and keep the legs nice and strong, and then gently push up into extension, and then back to neutral. Up to extension, and then back to neutral. And again, you want no pain when you're doing these postures. You just want to explore, and it should feel nice. You feel if anything's stabbing you or stinging you, stop. You have to stop right away, okay? All right, so after we've done 8 to 10 of those, then I'm gonna move on to the rest of the class. Okay, here we go. So the next pose we're gonna set up for is Uttanasana. So what we're gonna need is a chair or a stool or something that we're gonna be able to bend forward onto and be able to relax our head and neck onto, okay? So Uttanasana, standing forward bend, or particle pose, or intense pose, salt depends on what translation you look at, right? So what I'm gonna have you do is come look, please. I'm gonna check out my feet. I want to make sure that my feet are parallel, right? So turned out like this, I want to have the feet set inward, right? So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to exaggerate the internal rotation just a little bit. So the outer edge of my foot is parallel with the outer edge of the mat. Then I bring that in so it's underneath my hip. Same thing on the second side. From there, to activate the pose and get it ready, I'm gonna lift my toes up and spread them wide so the feet are active. The kneecaps are gonna lift up. I wanna be sure that I'm lifting the muscles upward and not pushing the knees backward, right? So muscles lift upward so the quadriceps are nice and strong. I'm gonna add that internal rotation that we worked on in Dandasana at the warm up. I'm gonna take the hands on the hips to keep the spine lifted. And I'm gonna use the hands to help tilt the pelvis forward. So as I'm tilting forward, the hips go back a little bit and the load goes into the hamstrings, not into my lower back. Keep going forward, take those hamstrings and make them do their job. The legs are working nice and strong, not pushing backwards, and then I take up the weight onto the chair. Then I'm gonna continue on, keeping those legs solid, internally rotating the thighs, the spine lengthening, and I'm gonna take the head and rest it onto the chair. Now, if this is too deep, it's too much for the back, change the prop. Fit the pose to you, not the other way around. So I can use a chair. I can even take this into a wall and just lean against the wall this way, right? So what we're trying to do is allow our brain to relax just a little bit. And we put a little bit of pressure, close the eyes. If you can invert it just a little bit, this is pretty calming to the nervous system, all right? So what we're gonna do, we'll set this up and we're gonna do it together for 2 minutes. Now, if you can do this for 2 minutes, very relaxing for the brain. Helps you kind of turn the anxiety off a little bit, and I think really the rest of the world, the whole world, and all of us need a little bit of something to bring some of this anxiety down just a little bit, right? And it's pretty amazing how just a few little mechanical actions that we can do to our body can shift these different things within our minds. Really odd. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna have my feet turned in slightly, the outer edges of the feet parallel. I'm gonna lift the toes up, activated, lift the kneecaps up, internally rotate the thighs, make sure I'm not pushing back into my knees. Hands on the hips, heart lifts, inhale. I'm gonna exhale, I'm gonna come forward from the hip joints. I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna find my working space where it's nice and happy. Here at the AYC, we talk about the stretches or the postures. Something you stretch should feel warm and buttery, like a Hawaiian roll, as opposed to hot and spicy, like a salsa that's maybe 3 times a little bit too hot for you, right? So it's nice and warm and buttery here in the back of the hamstring. The spine feels nice, there's nothing sharp or spiky, and then I'm just allowed to relax. What I'm noticing as I'm settling into this, I start to notice the different values or the different stretch between the 2 hamstrings. This is a little bit of an imbalance. So these are the small details that you can pick up as you slow down and just pay attention to what's on the inside. Also finding as we're progressing in time, when my body is allowed to release, it releases just a little bit deeper. So I'm not pushing anything, I'm just accepting whatever the stretch is going to give me or the posture is going to give me. And then from there, to come up, to unload this safely, what we're going to do is take the hands next to the head, you bend the knees, you unload your lower back. And then you can take the hands and push down and begin to bring yourself back up. So go nice and slow. Take a few breaths upright. If you feel like things are starting to spin, you can hold on to something solid. You can always sit down and hold on to a wall. Just letting that system kind of calm down or come back from that posture. Okay? All right. So now, next pose is Parsvottanasana, intense flank stretch. So it's another standing pose. Very basic way of getting in and out of this. We're just taking the legs forward and backward. There's a classic way of jumping, but to create simplicity, I'm just gonna stand here and I'm gonna take my right leg forward and my left leg back. So the right foot is pointed directly towards the chair. The left foot is gonna be turned out slightly, right? I don't want that to be too steep. If that back foot is set any further than 45 degrees, then what I'm gonna do is I start to turn my hip around. It creates a twist to the knee. And I don't wanna twist the knee because they're not built to do that. So I wanna cut that back foot in really deep. Now you can make this a balancing pose by lining up the front heel and the back heel, but you can also make it more of a calming, stable pose by widening the pose out just a little bit. So once I have that width, it's a lot more stable, and it's kind of like having training wheels on. When it's training wheels, you can ride along and it feels kind of relaxed, right? So once I'm set here, I'm gonna start to work the legs. Kneecaps lift up so the legs are nice and strong. I'm gonna internally rotate the thighs. I'm gonna stamp down the left inner heel, the back inner heel, so that creates that connection and a drive forward. The hands come onto my hips. I'm gonna plug in my upper back heart lifts, and just like we did with Uttanasana, we're gonna hinge over from the hips, inhale, exhale, taking it in the right hamstring and the left calf muscle. Continue to stamp that left heel down. Control the pose. I'm gonna come down onto my support and take the hands down, keep the legs nice and solid, internally rotate the thighs. Then my right hip is gonna move back into its socket. The left hip is gonna move forward towards its own pelvic rim, and I'm gonna try and levelize or square the pelvis out. Now if I have more room, I'm gonna continue to stamp the back heel down, the spine lengthens forward. I'm gonna inhale, exhale, and continue to take that action or that stretch into that right hamstring. And I can use the arms, come down in for a landing. And again, you can use whatever height is functional for you. If you need something higher up, use something higher up. And you just settle in here for about 30 seconds. Keep the legs nice and active, internally rotating the thighs, stamping the back heel down, and continue to lengthen the spine forward. Now to come out, I'm going to stamp down that back heel. Hands go underneath the shoulders. I'm going to push myself up and out. You continue to push down, push off of that front foot, and I'm all the way up out of the pose. Okay, I can bring the feet together. And I'm going to switch my sides. So I'm set out towards the chair. Left leg goes forward. Right leg back. Make sure I have that big cut into that back foot. Kneecaps lift up, turn the thigh bones in, stamp down the back heel and lift the chest. Inhale, exhale, and you're gonna come forward. The load goes into that left hamstring and that right calf. I'm gonna set in right here and then start to organize the pose. Charge up the legs again, internally rotate the thighs. Left hip back into its socket, right hip forward. Try to square the pelvis. If you can't see yourself, doesn't matter. You're just working those actions and pretending that you can see yourself, and that's totally fine. Then if we want to go deeper, I'm going to stamp the back heel down, plug in the upper back, heart lifts, inhale, exhale, and then from those hips, I'm coming forward, I'm feeling it into that left hamstring, right calf. Control it. Make sure there's no stingers in that upper back or that lower back. Pay attention, and then once you come in for landing, and about 30 seconds. A little bit tighter on this side for me. And then you're gonna take the hands under the shoulders. Keep the legs solid, turn the thighs in, stamp the back heel, inhale, exhale, push off. Start to come up, anchor off that front foot, bring myself all the way out of the pose. And I'm done. Okay. All right, feeling good, here we go. So now we have a Srita Padottanasana, expanded foot pose. So again, I'm using my support. It can be a chair, stool, whatever you need. I'm gonna take my feet, I'm gonna go wide. I'm gonna expand those feet out. Now, looking at how I set the feet up for this, I'm gonna be in this for an extended amount of time. I wanna really be mindful about how I set this up, right? So I'm gonna have you come in so you can see detail. So you see the foot set up here, right? The calcaneal bone is here, and then we have all the tarsals and metatarsals that are gonna be running forward. If I'm gonna be putting weight down through the tib-fib complex here, and I push down, it's gonna roll the ankle out that way, right? So I'm gonna start to put that stress into these ligaments that are running into the outer ankle. To keep that protected, I'm gonna lift my calcaneal bone up, the heel bone up. I'm gonna internally rotate at the thigh bone up here. So not at the ankle, turn the thigh bone in. You'll feel this little muscle turn on. That's the tensor the fascia latae. Then I'm gonna take that heel, push down to the floor, so it's set down, and then rather than pushing to the outer heel, I'm gonna take this outer ankle and tuck in and be loaded on the inner heel. That is gonna protect those ligaments right through there, and it's gonna make these peroneal or fibularis, depending on when you went to anatomy school, is gonna make those muscles turn on, keep them nice and strong. So I'm gonna do that on both legs. I'm gonna internally rotate from the thighs and set the heels out. The outer ankles are gonna tuck in, so the fibularis muscles are working for me. Kneecaps lift up. I'm gonna keep the spine lifting. Inhale, exhale. From the hips are going back, the spine goes forward. Same game. I'm gonna come in into some support. You might be able to get down a little bit further with this one. And just keep letting the legs do their job. The outer ankles tucking in. And find a space and get a little bit taller to be able to relax the head and neck so it can calm the nerves down. All right, I'm going to be here for 1 minute. Again, the pose may progress as you go. If it progresses, allow it. Just don't force it. So even though this pose is very calming to the mind, quieting to the nervous system, the legs are active. They're solid. They're serving the rest of the pose. They have to be diligent so the rest of the body, the nervous system, can relax. If the legs start to collapse, so the weight goes to the head, then I'm going to upregulate or turn that nervous system back on into more of a threat. We're trying to create calm. That's about 1 minute. I'm going to keep those legs nice and solid. The hands are going to come underneath my shoulders to unload the back. Keep the legs working and press the heels or the hips back until the hands get light. Hands on hips, spine long, and then press the pelvis forward to come out. And then nice and easy. You're going to heel toe the feet back together and to come up. Okay. So we're going to do one little cool down here, just a little bit of a twist. And then we're going to take this into Shavasana, and that's going to get us home, all right? So, we're already home. That's the nice thing about this. Here we go. I'm going to take a couple of blankets, again, to create a little bit of a lift. Maybe this time I'll take 3. You know what? I'm going to get one more. And you can use towels, blankets, I mean anything that you have around, rolls of toilet paper. You might have a little bit of extra of that rolling around your house. And if you don't, maybe go to the neighbors, ask if they have some. All right, so I'm gonna sit up onto these blankets here, and I'm gonna take this blanket here and make a roll. And that could be paper towels, toilet paper, whatever. And I'm gonna take that guy, I'm gonna put it, let's do it this way. I'm gonna put it underneath my left knee. My right leg is gonna come in. I'm gonna bring that heel as close to the hip as I can to my setup. So I have one knee up and one leg extended with the knee supported, all right? Now from here, I'm gonna lean back just a little bit so my tummy can go past the thigh. I wanna line the center of my abdomen up with the center of the thigh. Once I have that lined up, I'm just gonna bring myself in nice and deep and then make a little bit of a hug. The left hand is gonna come in and hug. The right hand comes behind, push down, and I lift the spine, inhale, exhale. I'm gonna hug that leg into my tummy. Now as I'm working this leg here, the left leg is pushing through the heel, pressing down into that blanket and creating lift on that opposite side. So this is a little bit more active. At the beginning of the class, we were just using the spine to twist. Here I'm using the spine and I'm also leveraging with the arms. It's a little bit deeper. Inhale. Exhale, and I'm gonna come out of the twist. I'm gonna switch to the second side. Blanket goes underneath the right knee. The left leg comes in. I'm gonna push through the heel, make it nice and active, anchor that knee into the blanket, hold on to the knee with the right hand, left hand behind, lean back slightly, aim the center of the abdomen into the thigh, hug in, inhale, exhale, and leverage and turn. Lift the spine, shoulders down. Inhale, exhale, and out of the twist, okay? Now we're gonna do one last downward facing dog, because we like to do that here on AYC TV and here at the studio as well, right? So one last cool down downward dog just to make everything nice and symmetrical as possible. And we're up. Let's give this about 20 seconds. Working those shoulders to the front of the body, driving back the hands to the hips, lifting the sitting bones, noticing how the hamstrings feel different. And then see if you can allow that head and neck to release without losing that integrity of the shoulders. Take one more breath. And we are out. Okay. So for Shavasana, here's my suggestion. You're gonna use a chair and can have that padded. Now if this is a dining chair, you can always turn it to the side and use a deck. Here at the studio, we have these chairs with the backs cut out, and so we can just put the legs through. I'm gonna have one blanket for my head and neck, and that's down here. So, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna set my calves onto the chair. I'm gonna kind of move myself back just a little bit so I'm not hanging under the chair, and then I want to adjust this blanket so it's supporting my neck. I want it supporting my neck all the way up, so there's nothing suspended there. And I want to make sure that my chin isn't rolling back this way. If the chin's rolling back that way, the throat's open, and the eyeballs are going to start to go upward towards the brain, and it makes us think. So what I want to do is calm that down, lengthen the back of the neck, the chin moves towards the chest, and I'm going to relax the neck. So I'm not pulling, I'm just relaxing. Again, let the props do their job. From that point, I'm going to take my shoulder blades, I'm going to tuck them underneath me like this, so the collarbones open up. And that's it. Just a nice, gentle, high close. And from here, I'm just going to progressively relax and let my toes soften up. And allow my feet become soft, the ankles. Let the muscles, the calf muscles, shins, let those soften, release. And allow my knees to let go. Kneecaps, feel for the knee joints to let go. What I love about having the chair underneath my calves is they can feel the hamstrings hanging vertically, quadriceps, thigh muscles hanging vertically, just releasing. It allows my hips to soften up and let go. It allows my abdomen to soften, the lower back to let go. Let those muscles release. I'm going to take that softness up into the rib cage and see if we can let those muscles in between each rib let go and soften, release to the breath. And from there, I'm going to start to work to the hands, the fingers, the palms, the wrists, the forearms, let them all soften up. And allow my elbows to release, the elbow joints to soften, the biceps and the triceps of the arms, let them soften up and let go. Relax into the shoulders, deep into the shoulder joints, let them release, soften. Relax around the shoulder blades, soften above and below the collarbones. Release the back of the neck into the blanket, let it soften, let go. Allow your throat to relax. Soften the jaw, the lips, and the tongue. Release the muscles underneath the cheekbones and the temples. Soften the eyelids. Let your eyeballs sink into their sockets. Relax the eyebrows away from each other. Soften your forehead. Soften your scalp. Just allow your brain to float inside your skull. Not forward, backward, up or down, just floating in the center. Once you're set, bend the knees. Gently roll over to the right side and relax. And then once you're ready, use the arms. Press yourself up to seated. Now sit tall again. Okay. So, This is such a privilege for me to be able to teach in this format. One of my big values in teaching yoga is trying to teach people how to create a home practice. And I think that these videos and the system that we're creating is hopefully going to allow you to give yourself time in your home, give yourself space in your home so you can use this practice, this art, every single day. This is an ancient art and it's built to be taken every day, right? Not hardcore, just a little bit every single day so you keep up with everything that's going on in your body. You get in your car every day, you're on your computer every day, you go to work every single day. Why not have this practice that helps to support you every single day as well? So hopefully these videos can help you on that journey, and hopefully we'll see you more. Thank you so much for letting me be your teacher today. Namaste.